Hi, everyone. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay, we don't have a ton of updates, but let's dive in. So we have a total now of 1,134 cases. And let's wait for Paul. You're late, Paul.
Sorry, I pressed the wrong link the first time.
That's okay. That's okay. It wouldn't be the first time that Mary beat you. I was just diving in. So there's 1,134 cases confirmed COVID positive in New Haven, and then we're still at 28 fatalities. I wanted to give you the weekly update on demographics, which track pretty consistently with what we have shared in the past. These are COVID positive cases and an associated heat map across the city. And again, you can see Fairhaven, parts of New Hallville, Dixwell, Dwight, and the Hill are heavily impacted. And the Black and African American community has a higher number of positive cases of those individuals that have been tested. This is hospitalizations. A similar trend, a higher percentage of Black and African Americans are being hospitalized. And this is COVID related deaths that we have in our system. A much higher concentration of African American and Black that are dying, unfortunately, to COVID-19 in New Haven that we've recorded. A couple of other quick updates. So the App Foundation donated 2,000 face shields to the fire department, and we wanted to express our appreciation for the generosity of the App Foundation. Thank you so much for doing that. The fire department currently has 17 positive cases, and the police department 7 positive cases. Fire department has 21 people at UNH, and the police department has 2 people at UNH. I wanted to remind people about face coverings. In addition to my order, the governor has also ordered that people wear face coverings when they are in close proximity to each other, such as stores, grocery stores, or corner stores, liquor stores, those sorts of things. And it's such an important thing that we can do to protect our fellow residents. Again, we're not asking people to go out and purchase masks. We're encouraging people to use a cloth, a towel, a handkerchief that they have at home to make sure that they're covering their face, their nose and mouth to keep germs away from other people. This is an important aspect to us in the long run, being able to open up as we get in the habit of wearing face masks to protect other people in the community. I wanted to hand it over to Director Bonds to give an update on nursing homes.
Local charities recently assembled more than 300 bags of food for
Director Bond? Director Bond, you're on mute. Can you hear me?
Hi, sorry about that. I was talking, thinking it was on.
No
So
problem.
as you know, the health department continues to actively monitor the status of nursing homes, and we've been trying to ensure that we work closely with the Department of Public Health. And also reporting any concerns that come in through our hotline relating any of these nursing homes. So currently, As Grimes, I reported previously, we had a total of residents of 58 who had tested positive and 18 staff that had tested positive. Those numbers have not changed since my last report. From Mary Wade, we have, from the Boardman residential side, we have a total of 15 residents on that side. And from our skilled nursing facility, we have a total of 19 residents. To date, we have 16 staff total, 2 who are not clinical staff. We also are monitoring Regal Care. Regal Care has 17 residents that are positive at this juncture, and a total of 9 positive staff that are tested positive. And then advanced nursing has no changes, where we have 1 reported staff person within that facility. We will continue to monitor that and provide updates as needed. And so we appreciate the proactive approaches that a lot of these nursing homes are taking, but we will continue to monitor their status as well and provide recommendations as they come along.
So I don't have any other additional updates. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I'll go with Mary and then go with Paul.
I just wanted to get a response to I guess the approvals now are starting on the College Street, 101 College Street building. Just get a response from you. And I didn't get all the way through all the material yet and how long that might take to actually advance it.
It's funny because Mike Piscatelli was going to join the call and we told him he might not be needed. And he has a lot more of the details on this. I can give a response myself. So we've been in conversations with Carter Winstanley and the state for quite some time. And given everything that's going on with COVID-19, we're very grateful that the state and Carter are still willing to move forward with this project. It feels right now that everything has slowed down, but at the same time, we are excited about the economic opportunity that this will provide for New Haven, and enthusiastic about the conversation we're going to be having with the Board of Alders in the coming months about the project. It's important that we get this project rolling because it takes a long time to get things approved, but we're very grateful to the other parties for continuing to be willing to move forward even with some of the uncertainty that exists right now.
Okay. Do you know what I mean, I actually, maybe Paul already got through all the 400 pages or whatever it was, but what the cost is in round numbers, and the commitment is there from the state. I saw that for, I think it was 8 million for the public portion. How much is it for the city?
Over multiple years. I think that you can check, we can double check with Mike Piscatelli because I don't want to give you the numbers have changed a little bit and I don't want to give you the wrong numbers.
All right, I have some more questions too, but if someone else wants to talk.
Sure, I'll go with Paul and then Mackenzie and then go back to Mary. Unless Michael also has a question, but go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. And I don't mind if Harry had more first, whatever.
It's okay. We can go back and forth. Got to share the.
The 2 things I wanted to ask you was, I guess there's a budget freeze that you've ordered related to this. I was just wondering what that's going to mean, what might not happen that otherwise was going to happen. And I guess there are new numbers about people working in the grab and go lunch program for the schools. I guess 2 security school officers have tested positive. I was wondering if any of the other employees in the school program have tested positive.
I'm unaware of that, but I'm happy to check. Oftentimes Mike Pinto is on this call. He's not on it today. We're obviously very concerned about the drop in revenues. And the categories of the drop in revenues that we're seeing because of COVID-19 are tax revenues. Typically this time of year, we're collecting delinquent taxes, people that have not yet paid their taxes, and that revenue item has gone down. The second category is building permits because there's been some slow in the building that's gone on in the city. We're losing revenue on that front. And the third is on parking tags and tickets and meter revenue. And so all of those areas mean that we're likely to face some challenges on the revenue side, and that's what the spending freeze is designed to reduce. I can't give you any specifics on what's not going to happen, But I'm happy to talk about I'm happy to look into it and get you some answers on that.
Yeah, no rush on that. But do you have any figure of how much revenues are down? Any ballpark estimate?
It's going to be in the, let me double check on the numbers before I give you something, but I'm happy to share that with you.
Thanks. And what
I don't
about
want to,
any
I don't
word?
want to say, I don't want to say a number without having just a more firm idea of what it's going to be.
Understood. Thanks.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mackenzie.
Thanks for taking my question, Mayor. I have two questions about provisions for the homeless. One is about the career site and where people go after being discharged. I've heard anecdotally that one person was discharged and is now living in a car, and that another person was unable to secure hotel housing. And I was just wondering, given that shelters are closed, what does the city plan to do for people who, are now have tested negative for COVID-19 and are presumably immune, but can't get access to hotel rooms?
Sure. So there are 2 hotel sites that we've been able to secure in partnership with the state. We're working on expanding access to hotel rooms to make sure that people have options that are not the street or their cars. And that continues to be the case. Obviously, we want to make sure that people have some safe place to go. I think something that's obviously very important is that people that are leaving the facility are no longer contagious and at risk to the general public. But we're working on expanding access to hotels, and I know that the state and our staff have been working very hard on that. It's proven to be a little bit more challenging than we thought because of the willingness of hotels to open up for this.
And then kind of more of a long-term question, as we think about the eventual transition back to homeless shelters, some people have brought up the city's prior stances against homeless encampments as an alternative to shelters. And I'm wondering if the pandemic has kind of reinforced a position that you had on that or made you rethink it, and kind of, are you open to the city allowing encampments once this is all over?
No, the city hasn't changed its position on encampments.
All right, and just to clarify, that position is against encampments.
Correct.
All right, thanks so much.
Let's go to Michael, and then we can go back to Mary.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Yes, I understand detailed questions are for Mike, but on 101 College Street, so the development agreement between Winstanley and the city has been basically agreed to in general terms. Is that what's changed?
Correct.
And the board.
Well, and there's also a submission to the Board of Alders. So we've started the formal process to move forward with the project.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, and I can check with Mike on details on that.
Correct, and you'll see that on the agenda at tonight's meeting.
Thank you.
Mary, go ahead.
I guess some of the alders tonight too have an amendment or a proposal on the tax deferral program, and they basically say we like both, but it kind of couches it. It seems to say if we don't like both, we maybe will change our mind. I mean, it's just I guess a message to OPM. And has anybody calculated which one or the other is less advantageous to the city as opposed to the residents?
It's a tricky question because it depends on how many people take advantage of the options, and it's very difficult for us to know that in advance. We are looking forward to working with the Board of Alders to determine how to implement this, because if we do get residents that are seeking the tax deferral, we will need to make sure that our staff has the capacity to handle those applications. But we're looking, ultimately the decision's up to the legislative body, and other municipalities have done a variety of different things with the governor's options that he's presented. And we're looking forward to working with the Board of Alders to determine what the best way is to implement their proposal.
I mean, one of the alders said to me that in some ways, the interest, just the people who will take a low interest. And also, does the low interest continue throughout the entire year? I mean, essentially, you would have a payment plan. You could just, work out with the city maybe monthly or something.
My understanding is it doesn't continue throughout the year, but I could be wrong on that.
All right, yeah, someone from the state thought it might have been, but he didn't seem to know either. Is that easier to administer? The first plan, you have to basically prove that you've lost money. I mean, you're in bad shape because of COVID, and people would have to review those calculations staff-wise. I mean, that's a bigger burden on the city.
Correct. And there, with the deferral program, there is the potential for some cash flow issues as well, because typically we will get a lot of tax payments right at the beginning of the fiscal year. But if we move forward as a city with the deferral plan, then it may be that tax payments come in much later. And that will present some cash flow problems. I know that our tax office and our budget office are looking into ways that will address that. I think one other comforting thing about this is every municipality in the state is going through these same questions. So there's options for us to work with the state to potentially address those together.
I mean, the city always does, I think, tax anticipation notes. Would this just be doing it sooner?
Correct. So that's one of the options on the table to deal with the cash flow issues is TANs. Another option on the table is if the state were to advance some of the payments that they typically make later in the year, for example, for ECS. But a lot of those things have not been settled upon at this point.
Okay. I'd also like whatever calculations you have on the freeze and how much is being lost or what has to be frozen and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm getting a lot of homework out of this press conference here. I see Mackenzie has her hand up again.
Yeah, question on funeral home workers. One, wondering if there's any city data on how many funeral home workers, if any, have tested positive for the virus, and if the city has any plans to declare funeral home workers as first responders.
So I'll take a stab at the first question, and then maybe Rick, if you feel knowledgeable enough to answer the second question about people on the front lines. I believe we do not keep any track of any information on funeral home workers. Maritza, correct me if I'm incorrect.
We do not, unless we don't have a directory of employees within each funeral home, so we will not be able to track it in that form.
And we've had some discussions about providing, for example, PPE to funeral homes. Rick, can you?
We actually have a.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't think anybody would have a hard time making sure that funeral directors were considered part of frontline workers, since they are, although they may not be first responders, they are considered frontline workers and would certainly be entitled to the same thing first responders are getting when it comes to maybe testing. But again, on equipment, on PPE, we will be working to ensure that any of those establishments that are short of PPE and need some assistance, the city is there to help them with that.
All right, thanks so much. And then just one question, jumping back to my last topic. Do you have the most recent number on how many people have been through the career site?
Be more specific.
I'm sorry, this may be better addressed to Director Bond or Mayor Elicker, but the number of homeless individuals who have gone to the career self-isolation site.
No, I think it's okay for Rick this is Rick's area, so.
Sure. So that number, so currently right now, we're at 4. We have had a couple of discharged individuals. And as an example, one of the individuals was discharged today when he'd met his 14-day quarantine. And he was discharged, actually was not homeless, but didn't fall under the guidelines, but didn't have a place to go. But we found, we made, provisions to put him in a hotel. So we're not turning anyone out of there without a defined plan, not to endanger themselves. And he was put into a hotel for the next few nights. But the total number that have been through there the total number would be 7. We do expect an intake of 1 individual this evening as well.
All right, thanks so much. That's all for me.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from folks? Good. Oh, sorry, Mary. I just muted you. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, so no one has been turned out of college, the College Street site to the streets? I mean, as everyone's that's left has a plan?
You mean the career?
I'm sorry, the career, right.
Correct. No one has been pushed from the isolation facility to the street.
Okay. And I don't know if Director Bond has the number of deaths for the 3 homes that we've been following?
The nursing homes?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I have the data ready for your email.
All right.
So
Okay.
it's in the email.
Thanks.
Any chance you want to share those deaths for the 3?
I actually closed my report, so I can certainly share that with you as well. I shared it with your staff.
Last week. Oh, it's the same. Just numbers haven't changed since Friday.
Yeah, they haven't really changed since Friday. It's the same numbers.
Okay, thanks. No need for update then. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.